All right. Pamroto.
Shame on you, Andre. Shame on you. You're so negative with that comment. How dare you make that comment?
Is that all you have, or negative comments?
Today, yes. But wait, do we have both of them up?
Yeah. There you go.
Trust me, I'm not trying to start anything. I'm not trying to get any articles on ESPN. But if you guys have pulled hamstrings, you know what hamstring pulls feel like. You don't pull. Deion Sanders said last night, he goes, the first time I've seen a hamstring injury happen when it hit on the sideline.
All right, I'll leave it as I open the show, gentlemen. Was the hamstring injury kosher? Kenny Rhoda.
I thought he got his bell rung because he was running to the sideline and tried to take on two players, and they crunched him over on the sideline. And he said he heard it earlier in the game on that throw where he fell down and was overstriding on that throw. Is overstrode a word? I don't think it is. That's why I've struggled with it twice here today, almost as much as Johnny struggled throwing the football yesterday. But it just seemed to be a nice term to use. And Andre, when you pull a hamstring, it feels like somebody shot you in the back of the leg, yes, and you can barely walk, and you limp and you drag that. We've seen guys running down the field for a breakaway touchdown, and they pull up and literally fall over.
Absolutely.
Tim?
I've never pulled a hamstring. I couldn't run fast enough to ever pull one. But I can imagine if I did pull one, earlier in the game, I would tell the quarterback coach or the offensive coordinator, hey, don't call a rollout pass to the left. If my hamstring was hurting, I can't do that. I mean, so I would think that Johnny would have communicated that to the sideline that, hey, you can't call quarterback runs right now because I tweaked my hammy and, just keep me in the pocket. So I don't know. I agree with Kenny. To me, it looked like he got his bell rung on the sideline. He lowered his head instead of stepping out of bounds or throwing the ball away, whatever he could have done in that situation to avoid the hit. But it looked like he got his bell rung to me.
All right, hey, before we go into grade the team, I just want to ask you this, Tim, really quick. Yesterday, Brian Hoyer was planted into the ground. Absolutely planted into the ground. He looked like he couldn't get back up, and everyone was wondering who's going to come in at quarterback. He said, Kyle Shanahan said to him in his headset, he said, you have to get up. We don't have anybody else.
You don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. Yeah. And he said he couldn't breathe. Can you walk us through that moment and tell us exactly what happens?
Oh yeah, no, I can definitely talk about that one. I've been hit many times where I couldn't breathe, and there's no worse feeling than you almost feel like you're going to die laying there because you can't get the air in you, and you're a little bit winded anyway because you're obviously running around and playing, and then you get hit like that and you just can't catch your breath. And Brian just all year long, I mean, he took some shots. I can't remember. I think it was the Houston game or something that he got drilled in that game several times. And we've seen this guy just continue to get himself up off the ground and continue to play. And I think that's a great sign for a quarterback, a great quality to have for a quarterback. And but there's nothing worse than knowing that you have to get up because you don't have a choice, like they said in his helmet. You have no one behind you. Johnny was out for the game, and you probably had to bring a wide receiver or somebody in just to take a snap and hand it off. But it's a bad feeling, man, laying there and gasping for air for sure.
The question is, did Johnny learn anything? Because Johnny even said after the game, he goes, Brian's tough, man. He stays in against a lot of hits. And I wanted to go, and you want to go, that's what you're supposed to do, Johnny. Like he literally said it about Brian, like he was surprised yesterday, guys. He goes, yeah, man, he's tough. He takes a lot of hits and stays in there. And it's like, that's what you got to do, Johnny. You can't just walk away after one big hit.
Kenny?
And you know what, guys? Yesterday, Dennis Northcutt wasn't going to be walking through that door to play quarterback. Kevin Johnson wasn't going to walk through that door to play quarterback for the Cleveland Browns if Hoyer wasn't able to go yesterday. So he had to suck it up.
Let me bring up one other point with you guys before we go to grade the team. How much, as we look at the quarterback situation, and we saw Manziel for the last 2 weeks, a little bit, there were so many people that had come up to me before the season started, before things even got moving. They're like, Manziel needs to start, Manziel needs to start, Manziel needs to start. How many of those people today, one, I think, are a byproduct of the instant gratification generation?
One's not working today.
That they wanted him, right?
What? One's not working today. Not here. At another
radio station.
Another radio station.
Oh, I forgot about that.
He suddenly, his throat got to him, I think, today.
All right, boom goes the dynamite. Anyways, so, I mean, part of this is the instant gratification generation that wanted to see Johnny Manziel now. They had to have him now. They had to have him now. How many of them do you think now have buyer's remorse, or how many of them do you think will make excuses for him? We'll start with you, Kenny.
I think there are a lot of them. You look at this kid, and he wasn't mentally prepared to take on the challenge of playing quarterback at the NFL level. I think he thought it was going to be an easy transition and was shocked when he got to the NFL level and looked at the playbook and realized, okay, this is a lot different than what I used to run in college. And guess what? He didn't have Mike Evans to bail him out either when he would just throw the ball up for grabs like he did last weekend in the end zone when he said he shouldn't even have thrown that one in Pee Wee football. So I think there are a lot of people today that if they wanted him to be the starter from day one are realizing that, you know what, I was wrong. There was no way he could be the starter from day one.
Tim.
I agree with that. I think it's a shocking reality to a lot of people because of all the hype machine that built Johnny up to be this, whatever they built him up to be. And it's almost like a Tim Tebow situation where, Tebow was coming out of college and he did all these great things and everyone said he was going to be a great player, his first round pick and all this kind of stuff. And it just doesn't translate the style of play. It's going to take time. And, I think everyone's, a little bit shocked that, how behind Johnny is and just under his understanding of the playbook, how physically he's overwhelmed out on the field because of his, he's just so undersized and all those things. His mechanics are all out of whack. So I'm sure there's a lot of people right now questioning, their wishes to get Johnny Manziel on the field and be their starter.
I hate to say this, but at least Tim Tebow won games. Johnny Manziel hasn't done that yet.
Eric is ornery. You get your Christmas picks and stuff this week.
Hey, Tim Tebow led his team to the playoffs. I mean,
beat the Steelers in a playoff game, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Last one. Wasn't that your last
time
you were in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of scary. All right, let me throw this other topic out before we get to grade the team, too. Why, as a team, and I'm never going to say all-pro again because the Browns had 9 of them voted on by the fans last week. Did you see that?
Yeah.
9 from the fans. We'll see how this thing shakes
Peyton
out.
Hillis is on the cover of a Madden. These
Tomorrow,
fans are
right?
the best.
I think we get the answers tomorrow.
Night.
All right, so your all-star wide receiver, let's just say that, Josh Gordon. Why did the offense go backwards when he came back, almost like Ray Farmer had looked into his crystal ball and told you at that press conference when he said it? Let's start with Tim on this one.
I just think it's very tough to put a guy in who hadn't played in 10 weeks. He's not in football shape. He's behind in the offense. He doesn't have a great understanding for what's going on. But I think, Josh's skill set is one that, when you get him back out on the field, you just want to get him the football because he's so explosive and he's such a big target. And that's something this offense had lacked is, big plays from the wide receiver position. And you just think you could just plug him into the lineup and generate that. But, defenses were keying on Josh when he came back. And, I think it got Brian in quite a bit of trouble trying to force feed Josh a little bit. And Josh was running the wrong routes and, not really fighting for some balls that I thought he could have went up for and helped Brian out a little bit as well. So I think it was just a little bit of, your eyes kind of get big when you see that talent level of a guy like that walk on the field and you want to get him to football. But, I don't think he was necessarily ready to step in and contribute right away.
Kenny?
Maybe he shouldn't have been selling cars and should have been working out a little bit harder, preparing for when he was going to return to the National Football League, because I think he thought he'd just step right back in and pick up where he left off a year ago. And when you're out 10 weeks, you can train all you want, and Tim knows this. You can train all you want, but it's not football training. It's not game reps, live reps, getting hit and having guys compete against you. You think you're running good routes in practice, working with your buddy on a high school football field. When you get to the NFL level, you run that same type of route. You see what's happening. I think that had a lot to do with it with Josh Gordon.
My answer, quickly, and we just wrote it down as we talked to amongst ourselves. And I think players pick up on this. And Tim, Kenny, you guys, I think you'll agree. You got to earn to be the number 1 wide receiver. You got to earn, and then Andy scratched that out and said quarterback. I think it changes the locker room when a guy walks in after 10 weeks, no matter how talented you are, and suddenly the offense is tilted towards you. I just feel like it's natural. We all are human beings. If a guy doesn't earn something, we all react differently. We were talking about this on Twitter yesterday because someone goes, well, the team looks different with Hoyer on the field. And I go, well, maybe it's a respect level. They don't mean to play harder. I think they play hard regardless. But don't you work a little different when you respect the guy you're working next to?
Absolutely.
I don't think Josh Gordon is truly respected in that locker room, no matter what his talent level is.
All right, let's bring Chris Fedor in and grade the team. You can do this quick, right?
Sounds good.
All right. Hey, Chris, I know you're on the phone line with us, too. You're with Tim. You're also with Kenny, too. So, and I know we normally take you. We're going to let you grade the team with us, too. Are you okay with that, Chris?
Yeah, let's do it, guys.
All right, let's do it. Let's just start rolling through this. All right, go ahead, Eric, the referee.
All right, let's start with the quarterback play. Brian Hoyer, 7 of 13 on 134 yards, a touchdown and interception. Johnny Manziel, 3 of 8, 32 yards.
All right, before you put up the screen, Chris, I'll let you go first. How would you grade the quarterback play yesterday?
Oh, gee, thanks, guys.
Sure.
Letting me go first on this one. Yes. I'll go with an F. I don't think Carolina's got a great defense. They've played better in the last 5 games, but neither Brian Hoyer nor Johnny Manziel showed me that they were doing the things offensively, or they could do the things offensively that you had to do to win the game consistently. So I would go with an F.
F for you. Kenny Rhoda, what do you have?
I wonder what Kenny owes him.
I'm trying to be more positive in grading all of my sports, teams and athletes. I'm going to give them a D, gentlemen. They threw a touchdown pass. Because of that alone, I didn't give them an F. They actually threw a touchdown pass. It was Brian Hoyer to Jordan Cameron who actually made it onto the field, so that's a good thing. So because they threw a touchdown pass, I went from what would have been an F to a D.
Tim.
I give him a C-. I thought Johnny struggled again. I thought he looked just as bad as he did the game before. He looked lost both mentally and physically on the field. But I thought Brian did a nice job when he came into the game, considering he had no reps in the week of practice. But he was exactly what you want out of your backup quarterback. He was prepared. He understood the game plan. He understood what they were trying to do defensively. He put some points on the board. And, so I thought he played that role well. So I gave him a C-.
Andre.
I went D+. I thought Manziel was an F-, but I'll give Hoyer credit for coming into the game, being prepared despite not getting any reps or anything else. I thought, despite what Chris said, I thought the touchdown, he used his eyes well to get the safety off. And I'll say this, their defense is, Luke Kuechly's one of the best in the game. They're a decent defense. They're not great. I give them a D+.
I gave him apathy. I'm tired of talking about the quarterback. I'll be honest with you. Brian Hoyer solidified himself as a backup in this league for a long time yesterday. He did exactly what a backup needs to do. I think he's going to make some money as a backup. I don't know that he's a starting quarterback. I think Houston will give him a shot next year to be a starting quarterback, or wherever he goes next year, he'll get a chance to compete. But if Brian did one thing yesterday and one thing only, and I know guys don't want to hear they're a backup quarterback, Brian proved absolutely 100% that he can be a very good quality backup quarterback in this league without a doubt for a long time. Next subject, let's go.
All right, looking at the running backs, Isaiah Crowell, 16 carries, 55 yards. Terrence West did not get a touch in this game, very surprising. He was actually behind Sean Drone.
Tim, you're first, running back.
I gave him a D. I thought Crowell had some nice runs. He had a couple explosive plays, but they couldn't establish anything consistent on the ground. A little over 80 yards rushing on the day. Too much penetration right in the middle of that offensive line. We all know about the injuries and the struggles they've had at center, but the offensive line struggled at the point of attack and really just couldn't establish anything consistent on the ground.
Chris Fedor, running back.
Well, I think because of the things that Tim was saying, I thought the offensive line did a poor job, and I think that made Isaiah Crowell in his performance a little bit better, because I don't think he had a lot of room to run, and I think at times he created some room. But I'm going to go with like a D, because I don't understand this running back thing at all, guys. Can somebody explain it to me? When is Terrence West going to play? When is Isaiah Crowell going to play? I don't think anybody knows. And you come off that game against Cincinnati on Thursday night where Terrence West had 26 carries and the offensive line was moving bodies and the running game was the biggest reason that you beat Cincinnati the first time. And then 1 week later, you don't give Terrence West the majority of the carries. So what the heck is going on with this thing?
Great points, Chris.
We go off of what they do in practice, Chris.
Well, and that's what I think we're learning too.
Yeah.
I gave them the running game. I gave them a C. Why? Because Brian Hoyer can run the ball.
You gave
Did
him
we
a
not?
C-.
A C-. Okay. Well, I don't expect it out of my quarterbacks, but I do. Remember how Brian can't run? Brian can't run. He had 2 runs. Second leading rusher for the Browns yesterday. Kenny, go.
I ended up giving him a D, guys. When you look at this running game, and Chris brought up a great point. Week to week, you don't know who is going to be the feature back. I understand if somebody's hurt and you have to change, but you're basing it off of we talking about practice, man. Is that, I mean, really, some guys are better in game situations than they are in practice, and if they've showed it in game situations and there's nobody really knocking your socks off that should be playing over them, how do you not give Terrence West the opportunity? You used a 3rd-round draft pick on the guy, and he's been in and out, up and down all season long. So I just think the O-line and the running back situation right now is a mess, and they got rid of Ben Tate, which I think was a dumb move back at the time they made it as well.
Preach. Ben Tate should still be here if you're going to still keep playing with these guys like this. I'll give him a C. As we've talked about all year long, it's really the offensive line that struggle. When the line gives these guys creases, they get into it. It's a C. But I'm with Kenny. If you have these many problems with Terrence West practicing, you shouldn't have got rid of Ben Tate.
All right, let's